Hey everybody, this is Hector and welcome to the Faith and Fandom podcast. It is me riding solo today because people don't love me and I'm alone in the world. Not really. Just got some time today before I go adult and want to spend some time just chit-chatting with you. I'm currently spoilers ahead if you're playing Red Dead Redemption 2. But you know me, I'm the least kind person when it comes to spoilers in the world. I am currently just meandering around in Red Dead while we chit chat because I am on my way to visit Arthur Morgan's grave. And then I'm pretty much done with the game, I think. Yeah, I might try some of the online stuff, but so that's been one of the things that has kind of been up lately. There's been a slew of really good video games this fall/winter season, and I just finished up playing Red Dead Redemption 2 story mode, and I gotta say I enjoyed it a lot, like an awful lot, and personally speaking, it's much better than Red Dead 1. But if you're familiar, Red Dead 2 takes place literally right before Red Dead 1, like 3 minutes before Red Dead 1. But if I'm super honest, I didn't straight up remember many of the details of Red Dead Redemption because I hadn't played the campaign since the game first came out, which is, like 8 years ago. So that's an awful long time. But I think one of the things that kind of hurt the story of Red Dead Redemption looking back is that you didn't know any of the characters that you were invested in. So none of that really mattered. Like, if you're remotely familiar, Red Dead starts out with you going to hunt down your old gang because the federal government is on your jock. And, realistically speaking, you didn't know any of these people. In fact, the first person you go hunt down in Red Dead is Bill Pearson, who is like one of the least notable people in your group. And then going on in Dutch only has like one scene in Red Dead Redemption. So it's kind of weird because I think that Red Dead Redemption 1 serves as a decent to mediocre sequel or follow-up to Red Dead Redemption 2. In fact, I think the best way I would have felt about it is if Red Dead Redemption 1 were a DLC for Red Dead Redemption 2. That's kind of how I feel. But man, I had a really good time playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I enjoy the anti-hero stories and the bitter angst of all that. I think it's funny how well the internet has responded and people in general to how ludicrous Dutch is in regards to his constant "I have a plan, Arthur" kind of thing. And I've really enjoyed just the community that's kind of focused around Dutch Vanderland and Arthur Morgan and everyone else. It's been really neat. But I gotta say, I enjoyed who these characters were. I enjoyed the Native American focus in a lot of it. If you notice in Red Dead Redemption 1, there is more of a Mexican focus. There's a focus on heading to Mexico, Mexican outlaws, etc., etc. And I think that role and that facet was more adapted in this one towards the Native American community, which if you know me and know my region, I am in an area that is very prominently filled with Native Americans. And in fact, I pastored a church for several years that is 99% Native American. So, it's nice to me, at least, to see stories that actually have some inclusion and some focus on Native Americans that aren't crazy stereotypical. And I think Red Dead did a good job with that. And let's see, what's some other thoughts with that? I think that there were some elements that I wish would have gone on longer, and there were characters I actually wanted to know better, like Kate. Was it Kate? The blonde lady that's kind of associates with your gang. Um, I really enjoyed her. She reminded me a lot of Pam from Archer, and I think that was probably why I enjoyed her so much. Um, and I like games like this because it lets you appeal to different things of what interests you. Like the first quest I did intentionally was the one where you go help the pastor. If you know me, I have a thing for fictional pastors and how they're portrayed. And I gotta say that the Reverend on Red Dead 2 was not ideal. He was no shepherd book, but his character did have a positive turn towards the end of the story. So there is that. There are characters I really did enjoy meeting and getting to know. And I like that you can choose who you invest in games like this. I think that says a lot about who you are as a person and who you invest in. I did all of the missions for your ex-girlfriend in the story, where I was talking to a friend last night who did like none of them because he met her once and was like, bump this, I don't care. Where me, I was actually, hoping for more. Romantic status. So, that's the thing. I've never been really like I have to have romance in games. I know some people who that's like one of their favorite things about things like Dragon Age and stuff like that. But I love a good story, and I thought that their story was a good one. But I think that this game accomplishes what the Star Wars prequels were shooting for. I think that's a really great way to summarize what all of Red Dead Redemption 2 is. It's a Star Wars prequel done well. You care more about the characters. The fact that one of your first missions is saving John Marston, and you actually get to see him from the moment he really kind of comes into his own and on. So I think that was really neat. With that, I really wish though that some things would have went on longer. Some things would have ended quicker. The O'Driscolls were kind of a hoot, and some of those missions were a bit bananas. But I've really enjoyed what I've been playing with Red Dead 2. So the funny thing is, when I finished Red Dead 2, it was like the middle of the night, like 2, 3 in the morning on Sunday morning, because I wasn't planning on finishing the game. Then I got to what was the end of the game, and I just, I couldn't not do it. So I finished the game at like 2:30 in the morning, and I really, really needed to go to sleep because I had church at, I had to be up and out the door by 7. But instead of being a functional, responsible adult, what I did was I got on YouTube and I skimmed through the entire storyline of Red Dead Redemption 1 so that I had everything in a fresh perspective and context. And so honestly, altogether, it really does flow like a great Western epic. The story from Arthur to John to Jack. And maybe maybe this will go the Star Wars route, in that we'll get another Red Dead Redemption in a few years where we actually do get a Jack Marston game instead of just a little bit of gameplay. But I'm 99% sure gonna do a Faith and Fandom chapter on Red Dead Redemption 2, maybe a little bit of 1 on Dutch and the whole plan thing, focusing on scriptures that say that in a man's heart, or what is it? It's Proverbs 14:12. A man knows what is. Hold on, I'm failing at memorizing scripture today. I'll read it to you. But there's a verse that says, hold on, because I made a Dutch meme. There's a way that seems right to a man, but in the end it leads to death. Proverbs 14:12. And then Isaiah 32:7 says, scoundrels use wicked methods. They make up evil schemes to destroy the poor with lies, even when the plea of the needy is just. And then even Psalm 140 verse 2 says, who devise evil plans in their hearts and stir up war every day. And I thought those verses really encapsulated Dutch well, but also just the simple fact that just because leaders have a plan, just because we make a decision, and just because people around us are leading us in a certain direction doesn't mean that they actually know what they're doing, and that we have to be cautious about who we lead, how we lead, and who we allow to lead us. So that's most likely going to be a chapter in Faith and Fandom 6, which, on the note of Faith and Fandom 6, I've got to write the book. I've got some ideas now. I've got a lot of stuff kind of stockpiled up in the means of ideas for the book. Let's see. Here are a few chapters that I'm looking at. I'm looking at a chapter on Batman 53, which, if you've heard me talk or listen to any of this stuff, you know it's the one where Batman has the whole scripture section about Job. I'm going to do a chapter on Red Hood and the concept of just not being a hero enough. Something on My Hero Academia that I'm working on. I'm debating on a Thanos one because I think the Thanos one is kind of similar to what I want to do with Dutch. So I might scrap Thanos for Dutch. Plus, I'm also not going to have the end of Avengers 4 before I write this. Doing a chapter on Judas, a chapter on The Greatest Showman, a chapter on Scott Pilgrim and dating relationships, looking at one for Batman White Knight, doing one on Haunting of Hill House, which, if you have listened to the podcast or watched the video, that you've kind of already seen the rough idea of that. And on Titans, on not blaming the mask. Really enjoyed Titans so far. And then Doctor Who, rejecting fake substitutes. And by the way, I posted that and someone thought I was making a dig that Jodie Whittaker is not a functional doctor or that she's a fake substitute for a doctor. That is not the case. I'm referring specifically to the episode called They Take You Away in Doctor Who, where people are given fake substitutes for their loved ones in an attempt to draw them away. So no shade towards Jodie. I am also, though, a bit hurt that they have announced that we will not have Doctor Who in 2019. People are saying, oh, that's not that long. But listen, we have gone several years now without consistent seasons of Doctor Who. I feel like if we don't get back on track on being regular with this, we're never going to get back on Netflix. And we're going to eventually peter out. But we are going to get the New Year's Day special. And then we will have no other Who for all of 2019. It'll be 2020, early 2020, before we ever see Doctor Who again. So I am a bit saddened by that, and a bit lost to that, because my kids were just kind of getting the vibe of where they needed to go and what they needed to do with that. So overall, I am pretty happy with the way the book is going to be and turn out for book 6. I do just actually have to sit down and, write it, which that'll be the thing, is sitting down to write it. But my plan is to actually start really getting into writing over the next week or so. It's been bananas in life here lately. We've had the rebuild of my church facility, which honestly went really well. And shout out to, Dragon's Lair and the other places and people that donated to help make that happen. So honestly, our church is back to normal, and that's kind of been one of the things is my church is back to normal, and which up until like a year ago, we were mobile, which meant that we really could only do scheduled activities like on, Sunday because we were renting out a school. Now that we are actually, we have a building, we have stuff like all the time. Like I've got meetings and services, and I run a small group on Wednesdays, and I'm helping with our youth group on Sunday nights. So it's a lot more in my life, and so much so that we had to make the decision of what we're letting go to make it happen and everything else. But yeah, I'm excited for book 6. I'm excited for getting the process done. I really do think I'm going to stick with the subtitle of Faith and Fandom 6. Oh, look, another one. Just for kicks and giggles. It may totally change by the time we actually get around to doing it, but I'm pretty confident that that's going to be the title, and we'll see how things develop in the next few weeks as to what actually goes down. For those of you who don't know, or you haven't been familiar or read the books or been a part of the process, I don't really pick in advance what it is that I'm writing about. It really is, I see something, I experience something, I get something from it, and then I decide to write about it. I don't plan this stuff out in advance. Like, sure, I'm going to go watch Aquaman in a couple weeks, but I'm not saying, okay, I'm officially writing an Aquaman chapter until I actually watch it. I need to see something and get something out of it. I was getting some text messages this week from someone who was telling me what to write about on certain areas. And, that's nice and all, but it just really doesn't work that way. If I'm watching something or reading something or playing something and it doesn't speak to me, I'm not doing it. I never, ever want to shoehorn something just because it's popular. I know I could do that with certain manga or certain anime. Like, people said, write something on Bleach. And I'm like, I could do that, but I've never watched Bleach or read Bleach or done anything with Bleach. So it would be fake. So that is coming up, though. I do want to get writing with that. I've also been playing Pokemon Let's Go, which, for the record, has been a flippin' joyful experience. I've had a ball with it, literally and figuratively. I've enjoyed playing it, but I also have had a Pokeball that I carried around with me, and I've really enjoyed everything that I've done in Pokemon Let's Go. It's been, I gotta say, I don't know if it's a game that's as well developed as Pokemon Sun and Moon were, because those were my first actual Pokemon adventures, where I actually played through a Pokemon game. But Let's Go was fun. I mean, battling Team Rocket, doing things, discovering Pokemon in the wild. It's been a good ride. I like playing with my kids with it. I like them learning and figuring out what they want to do. And I've enjoyed it. One of the coolest things has been carrying around a Pokeball with you and letting like having a sidekick with you. It's been pretty neat. It annoys people around me though, because all of a sudden you're hearing Pikachu like yammer from my pocket or something. But I really do also think it's been pretty neat in the way that they've included the melting quest between Pokemon Go and Let's Go. Because it's been a really fun experience with that. One thing though is seriously about how much money I don't want to spend at the box office right now. for movies, because realistically speaking, there is a lot of money that can be spent at the movies. I don't know about you, but I've come to the place in my life, and I've said this before, that if I don't go watch it in theaters, I'll probably never go watch it at this point. Like, even if it's on Netflix, if it's not worth my $7 to $8, it's probably not going to be worth my 2 hours later. So I haven't watched a feature length film on Netflix basically since the inception of Netflix. So that is a thing, and I'm okay with that. But there's been a lot of movies lately that I've wanted to see that I haven't. I didn't see the Cumberbatch Grinch. I didn't see Fantastic Beasts 2, The Crimes of Grindelwald. Although, plenty of people did spoil the ending. So, thanks, jerks. But, there's a lot coming up to the movies, especially with Christmas and everything else. They're hitting pretty heavy. I am looking forward to Aquaman. I'm not passionately looking forward to Aquaman. Out of the entire Justice League team that we see on screen, Aquaman is probably the one I really would pay to watch. Second to last, Cyborg just isn't interesting to me. But Aquaman, man, it's gonna be fun. I get it. It basically looks like The Mummy, but with Jason Momoa. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. A soggy The Mummy, but I am looking forward to a lot of different movies. There's actually the movie Vice, where they've turned Christian Bale into Dick Cheney. I don't even know why that's a thing. But that looks pretty interesting. Welcome to Marwell, or whatever the movie with Steve Carell and the dolls are. I kind of want to see that. Marwin? Yeah, Marwin. There's a lot just coming out that I do want to see. I didn't get to see Creed 1 or 2, actually, but I almost went to see part 2 in theaters. There's just a lot coming out at Christmas. Into the Spider-Verse is about to drop. There's just a lot of money that I'm going to be spending at the movies lately, and that's one of the things too. Now, I rarely see movies that I don't take my kids to, just because I want them to have the good life experience. And Ralph Breaks the Internet was fun. That's the last movie I've seen in theaters, and I did enjoy that. But I really am looking forward to that. I'll also add Smash Brothers came out, and I don't know if it's me personally, but I think I've fallen off of the Smash Brothers hype train. It was an awesome concept back with Nintendo 64 era, and it was a dope idea then, and I've enjoyed all the Smash Brothers, but it's about at the point where it's like Street Fighter and everywhere else, that it's just the same thing all over again. And yeah, there is a air quotes story mode, but not really. It's about as much story mode as Titanfall. So, and it's unlocking the characters is fun. I am having fun playing Smash Brothers. But here's the thing I think that hits me the most about playing Smash Brothers is that it doesn't matter if you're playing Smash Brothers on N64 or GameCube or Wii or any of these other systems. It's the same experience. Yeah, the maps might be a little bit different. You might be playing, but here's the thing: I've been playing with Samus since day one. So I haven't even changed players. I know that Smash Brothers Ultimate is going to have 70 players, but I'm not even going to change that. You're going to have to throw something at me that's flipping magnificent that gets me to walk away from Samus. So I don't know that they have that, or if they've made that. And I'm enjoying it. I have paid for it. I am playing it. So that is going to be fun. Uh, I just don't know if it's worth the hype anymore. Like, I get it. It's the same thing. It's the same game with prettier things. Woo. Um, and still no Waluigi for the poor Nintendo activists that are still cringing and begging for a Waluigi. So those are some entertainment things I've been enjoying. Right now, my church has been doing a study of the book of Habakkuk. Habakkuk. It's like some bad throat clearing phlegm stuff. We've been doing a study of the book of Habakkuk and a series called Hope in the Dark, about hoping in difficult times and when things don't look like they're going to work out. So that's been an encouraging thing to be a part of that series and to do that. I'm also spiritually reading Francis Chan's Letters to the Church, and I say by reading it, I've read the first chapter and I've been too scared to pick it back up because it's kind of gangster. Actually, I've been wanting to pick it up, but I'm reading comic books every week and I'm playing video games, so I do need to sit down and actually read Francis Chan's Letters to the Church. So that's going to happen. I'm also leading a small group at my church on Bob Goff's Everybody Always, which is definitely one of my top books in the last ever. Just for spiritual encouragement and learning how to be love and love people better. Everybody Always was the stuff. So I am enjoying that. I am enjoying that process. Yeah, that's been a good bit. Some shows we've done. We did Burlington's show, which was Holly Hill Comic and Toy Expo, I think, or Holly Hill Comic Con. Holly Hill Comic Con. That actually turned out to be a really fun show. It was a mall show, and generally speaking, mall shows scream red flag. They're not always great, but this was honestly a really good mall show, minus the fact that there was Christmas music blaring the whole time. I'll say this. One of the coolest experiences, and I don't think I've talked since then to do this, but one of the coolest experiences I had at the shows recently was doing NC Comic Con Bull City and meeting Chuck Palahniuk. Chuck Palahniuk is the creator of Fight Club, and however that sits with you, if that's a positive or negative, but he's the creator of Fight Club, and Chuck was one of the coolest and kindest fans, friendly celebrities at any Comic-Con I've ever met. Chuck stood up in line and actively, engagingly took pictures with every fan that got in line for hours. I'm talking hours, like without bathroom breaks, like 5, 6, 7 hours. And I didn't even meet him during the show. Like when the show ended on Friday night, I walked by and just said, I want to say thank you for being here. He's like, did you get an arm? Now, why that's a weird question. Chuck Palahniuk brought like 3,000 severed rubber arms with him to NC Comic Con Bull City, where he signed them, Chuck Palahniuk, and gave them out. So not only did he do free photos, he did free signings, and he gave away severed arms with his name on it. All because, they're kind of promoting Fight Club 3, but I gotta say, like, he is one of the coolest celebrity guests I've ever met. Just in the fact that he was kind and he actually valued the people he was dealing with, which can be super rare sometimes when you're dealing with these Comic-Con celebrities. He was really, really cool. I'll say still my top favorite has been Matt Chapman from Homestar Runner. Met him a couple of years ago at Heroes Con, and he was him, Alex Kingston, and Chuck Palahniuk. Now I'll say are some of the best. Alex Kingston is my Doctor Who crush / person we named our child after, and I love her. But Matt and Chuck probably go above her because they were doing this stuff just for fun and for free. Yeah. So that was a good experience. That was really solid overall. I'm just rambling. Just wanted to put some words out there because I haven't talked to you guys in a while. So, couple other quick things before I bounce out of here. We have an event. And by the way, today is, as I'm recording this, it is December 10th. It is the due date for Vincent and Stephanie's baby. Vincent is my sidekick partner of Faith and Fandom, and Stephanie has also been a part of our ministry with this, and their baby is due today. So I'm super excited that this baby's coming. It's not here yet, but it is all snowy in Raleigh, and it might be a little difficult for them, but there is a baby coming, and I'm super pumped. So that is happening. So more than likely, you are not going to see Vincent at shows for a while, but currently I don't have any shows scheduled until March. I had every intention of doing Statesville Comic Con on February 8th, but it appears to be that I now have a work conflict that will not allow it. So SwanCon and where is it? Sumter, South Carolina might be my first Comic Con for 2019. Unless I can get into the Charlotte one on January 26th, but I'm honestly not sure. So SwanCon, March 23rd. No, Oak City's before that. So yeah, either way, it's a while from now that we need to get that together. But yeah, you won't see Vincent at shows for a while because he's adulting and having a baby. But yeah, March looks like it's going to be the beginning of the con season for me. I'm hopefully planning to have book 6 basically done into editing process by the time I go back to another Comic-Con. And they're not Comic-Cons, but there's a really cool event happening this Friday in Fayetteville, North Carolina. It's called Free Reads Fayetteville. And authors are going to hide their books around the city in a scavenger hunt fashion. And if you find the books, you can have it for free. So that's straight up a thing. And there will be 5 Faith and Fandom books and my youth ministry book randomly hidden throughout Fayetteville this week. So on Friday from 8 p.m. to... No, it's 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. You'll be able to find copies of Faith and Fandom or my youth ministry book hidden somewhere throughout downtown Fayetteville. So that's pretty neat. And then we're also going to be at the Lumberton Comic and Toy Expo on Saturday, July 22nd, which is at the Lumberton Mall. And it's going to be a fun show. They are also raising money to help flood victims and stuff here in our community. So I appreciate them for doing that, and it's literally down the street from me. So that's going to be a fun show. It is a free show, and it is both days during mall hours, the 22nd and 23rd of December. Gonna make more of an effort over the Christmas break, the actual podcast intentionality going on, where I'm talking to more people with Artist Alley and people in that. Since we started the Love Thy Nerd podcast show for Pull List, where Chris Poyer and I discuss comic books, that's kind of been my podcast focus, which you can still catch those on here as well as on the Love Thy Nerd network. But I'm going to be better. I'm going to be better about actually putting some Faith and Fandom podcast stuff on here. So stick with me. And for you guys that actually listen to this and you listen to me ramble and you just care, thank you. So thank you for praying for me. Thank you for praying for us. 2018 has been a really big year. Oh, we hit 3,000 likes on Facebook. That's a big deal. To some people, it was kind of a milestone for me. And there was a week where I gave away all of the books on Kindle, and we had over 1,000 downloads of the books on Kindle. So that's super dope. So thank you for being a part of that. Thank you for being a part of the Faith and Fandom family. And thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.